Minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. It is a Monday morning, the 8th day of December. We should be connected up to YouTube and Facebook. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all of our listeners out there in KLYN land, along with the YouTube and Facebook people. Monday, the 8th day, almost said the ninth. It's going quick enough as it is. The 8th day of December. And we are in the 25th chapter of the book of Genesis today, going through it verse by verse. Abraham is eating up a big chunk of the book of Genesis, and rightfully so. The man of faith, the father of faith, Abraham, man, what a guy. What a guy. And what a God who has continued to promise this man over and over again, getting him involved in the mighty work that God is doing. Somebody sent me a picture the other day. I think it was Chris Maestas sent me a picture of a beautiful. It was the sun was going down, the moon was coming up, type of a deal. I think is what it was, and all I could do is say, and He owns it all. Because what God is doing is this is the story from Genesis all the way to Revelation. This is the story of redemption, okay? Redemption, buying everything back again, because it all belonged to Him at the beginning. We already read it. He said, let there be, and there was. And God is bringing everything back, a soul at a time, a square inch at a time. God is bringing everything back, a nation at a time. God is bringing them back to Him. And Abraham is one of those guys that we look at and we say, dude, you went through a lot, Abraham. You went through a lot. Abraham again took a wife. Okay? Where have we been? Well, Sarah has passed away. Okay? Abraham sent his servant out in the previous chapter to procure a wife for his son Isaac. And Isaac, at the end of Friday's program, sees his bride, and he is fulfilled. That's the way it ended. Okay, it didn't say fulfilled, but let's go over there real quick and we will say exactly what the New King James says. Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. He took Rebekah and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So, hey, he's fulfilled and ready to be the conduit that God is going to use to continue this whole story of redemption. If you are missing the story of redemption in the Bible, you are missing everything that God is doing, because God is buying it back. You, along with it, God wants to buy you back. But we have to be like Abraham, and we have to believe. So, Abraham again took a wife. Verse 1, chapter 25. Okay, before we get into that, maybe I ought to remind everybody that we have a website, lvcornerstone.com. We have a phone number, 454-9527. We have an email address, klyn903@gmail.com, for prayer and input. And that's where we want to start our program off this morning, and let you know about that as we get into this chapter. So Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So Sarah has passed away. Hagar is probably still around. I don't know if it's told us whether she's around or not, but Hagar was a concubine. Keturah is not a concubine. The Bible calls her a wife, okay? And you deal with this whole concubine thing on your own side. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Good morning, Leroy, and good morning, Jennifer. But It is what it is. It's the Bible. And as George was telling us last week, or was a week before, a couple of things that George has told us over the last couple of weeks. Number one, the big thing that really hit me hard when George says that God will always test our love. What is it that we love? Abraham's love has been tested. Oh, whew, my God, that's a scary one sometimes for me. Also, is that God does not sugarcoat the heroes of the Bible. God tells us exactly the way it was, which is quite different from many, many, many other books and other stories. We have the way that it really is. Good morning, Yolanda. So Abraham takes a wife. His wife has passed away, and her name was Keturah. And she bore to him Zimram, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. So apparently there was nothing wrong with Abraham. It was Sarah to where the barrenness was, okay? But Abraham has a wife. He's way past 140 years old. The Bible going to tell us here pretty soon that he died when he was 175. And he's still bearing children, okay? And he has, six sons from Keturah? And I'm sure that there could have been some daughters along the way. Zimram, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. So, well, we don't hear too much about. Yeah, you're right. You don't hear too much about those guys. You're going to hear a lot about Isaac, but you're not going to hear a lot. It's not that they don't count. It's not that they, but really the focus in God's story of redemption is through Abraham to Isaac, not to Ishmael. Remember, there was Hagar and there was the whole Ishmael event that was going on, and that is not the chosen one. Isaac is the chosen one. Now, we have other sons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And we have in the record the grandsons of some of the sons born from Keturah, like Jokshan, who was second on the list. And I don't know if this is chronological, that Jokshan was born number 2. A lot of times that has that kind of pops up over and over again. Jokshan, because there was the first Adam and then there was the second Adam. Other places that it jumps up. Anyway, you'll see that as we go on. So, but Jokshan begat Sheba and Dedan. And you say, well, I've been reading the Bible and I know there's a place called Sheba, there's a place called Dedan. Now you know where you got the names from. From the grandsons of Abraham. Wherever they scattered, wherever they went to the east, okay, they settled down. And the sons of Dedan were Asherim, Letushim, and Leumim. And really, when you see the end, I am, that means plural is what it means. It doesn't always mean that they're in the Nephilim, but what it means is plural. So when it's talking about the sons of Dedan, so we have Abraham, okay, and with Keturah, we have a son named Jokshan, and then from there we have a grandsons named Sheba and Dedan, and then under that Dedan has Asherim, Letushim, and Leumim. Okay. Good morning, Dana Burns. Thank you, Dana Burns, very much. Okay. Andrea's with us this morning. Keturah is a partial fulfillment of God's promise, is what Leroy Doty is putting on the Facebook comment section today. Something for you to chew on this morning. Put that on my plate today so I can chew on that one. So here we have these, and God generationally, there's generations that are going on. The sons of Midian. So remember, we looked at Jokshan, number 2 on the list. Now we go to number 4 on the list, okay? And we look at Midian. And Midian had sons, Ephah, Epher, Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. These were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. So we're not forgetting Isaac, okay? Abraham definitely has been through too much in his life to forget Isaac. So he knows that it's time. It's getting close for him to pass away. He had a son with Hagar. He has had a son with Sarah, the promised one. You deal with it. If you got a problem with it, just deal with it. And then he has Keturah, and he has other sons with Keturah, and grandsons and great-grandsons, apparently, is the way it goes. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. So the bulk of everything and Abraham was probably, if not the, one of the richest men on the earth in those days. And let's just take the Middle East, okay? Let's just say, okay, well, we don't know what was happening in North America and South America, and okay, Africa and those places. But how about just in for anybody who knew anything about what was going on in the Middle East in those days, Abraham was way high up there on the list. He was kind of like the tech giant. Maybe he was the Elon Musk of his day when it came down to riches. And he gave all that he had to Isaac, but Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines. The blessing is going to pass through Isaac, okay? He will give gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac his son to the country of the east. Good morning, Kathleen. No YouTube this morning. Everybody's on YouTube, Jeff. It should be out there. Okay, as you can see. I don't know. You probably can't see it, but I have a lot of comments there. So yeah, I think it was Facebook that I was worried about. That finally you helped me there by confirming that Facebook is working, and I worried about it a lot. So Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And he said, well, man, you didn't get me. Oh, Abraham had a lot to give, man. I don't think these guys are traveling to the east, just trying to figure out how they're going to put their next tank of gas. He gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, it's strange that he calls them concubines. Is he calling Keturah a concubine when he called her a wife at the beginning? While he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac his son to the country of the east. So he this whole Canaan land that God had promised to Abraham and to his descendant, Isaac is the one, and Abraham is making sure that these guys are separated away. You got your own place. You go east. There's a lot of land out there for you over here, but this belongs to my son Isaac. This is his. And there wasn't going to be any contention, at least not right away. There wasn't going to be any contention or any strife. Abraham gave gifts to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, and while he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac his son to the country of the east. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of Abraham in his 70s when he left Ur of the Chaldees and went to Haran, and ended up at Canaan. We've seen a lot in his 80s when the whole deal with Hagar and Ishmael became a factor. And then we saw a lot through the 90s. And then when he turned 100 and Isaac was born to Sarah. And now, and even then, we saw him when he was about 130 something or 140 when he takes Isaac up to the mountain. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175 years. Watch verse 8. How many of you want this to be your life? Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man, full of years, as was gathered to his people. So Abraham, 175 years old, breathes his last, but he lived a full life. You say, man, the guy should write a book. Well, somebody did for him. Somebody wrote the book already. And that's what we're doing. We're going through it and looking at the life and looking at the ups and downs. And that's what life is all about. Isn't life about the ups and downs? The times that we believe and trust in the Lord with all our hearts, and then the other times that we kind of weaken up a little bit. And we have Abraham, the father of faith, who we can look to and say, yeah, the man is saying, you know what? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave. 175 years. Let's play a song. Let's get us up to the bottom of the hour. We'll get to our weather report, and then we will continue in the 25th chapter of the book of Genesis, looking at probably now we're going to be looking at Isaac a little bit more, you think? 30 minutes after the hour. Guess what? We are on time today. Man, 26 degrees is our temperature. Feels like 18 out there. We have an 8-mile-an-hour breeze blowing out of the north. Let's see what the weatherman has for the next couple of days. 54 today as a high with sunny skies. North wind around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, 60 degrees with sunny skies. West wind 10 to 15 miles per hour. A little bit warmer than it was last week. I mean, it was a cold week last week, but warming up. Sunny, high near 57, west wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Georgia's predicting an Indian summer for this week. And let's see how it all works out, Georgie. Let's see how it all works out. Anyway, we have that website, lvcornerstone.com. We have that email address to where you can get a hold of us, klyn903 at gmail.com. And we are on, let's get it going over here, the 25th chapter of the book of Genesis this morning. And if you are on Facebook, yeah, the blue is Facebook, the red is YouTube on my comment section. If you are on Facebook, Jeff has a breakdown of the names of all of these sons born to Keturah. Keturah's name means incense. Let me go back there. Yeah. Abraham's second wife, Keturah, name means incense. And then he has a breakdown of all of the names. In fact, one of the names I was looking at, the second born of Dedan was Letushim, which means hammered. Probably means something a little bit different than it means now. Hammered, okay? Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons, Isaac and Ishmael, buried him in the cave of Machpelah. So apparently, the sons of Keturah had already left. They had already got their gifts. They got what was theirs, and they started traveling east, starting their own heritage, starting their own communities, starting their own bloodlines. Okay, because that's what they were going to do. You're going to see, and we've already talked about this, some of them are going, Dedan, Sheba, are going to be lands. They're not going to be just a person anymore. They're going to be an area. Okay, and you're going to become front. Let's just go to Sheba alone. Where is Sheba? There. Let's look at Sheba. Let's do a quick search on Sheba. Let's see if we're going to find out anything. Genesis 10, we're already talking about Sheba. Joshua, 2 Samuel. See, so Sheba, 1 Kings, and once you get past Genesis, you're talking about a peoples, not just one man. 2 Chronicles, Psalms, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, much mention of the word Sheba in the Old Testament. In fact, I think he even doesn't. The 38th chapter of Ezekiel, where it talks about Gog and Magog, isn't Sheba part of that action that's there? His sons Isaac, I will read 8 again. Let's go to verse 9. He says, his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah. What was the relationship between Isaac and Ishmael? Ishmael was what, about 13, 14 years older than Isaac was? Looks like they're getting along, at least for the funeral. Not that they haven't been, not that they are going to, we'll see. We'll see how it all works out. But Isaac and Ishmael bury him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, in the field which Abraham purchased. So it's taking us back to the time that Abraham bought the cave of Machpelah, okay, so that he could bury his wife. That's what it says right there. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. So they were buried there at the same place that he buried his wife. And that is going to be a place we're going to revisit, the cave of Machpelah, okay, which is in the southern part of Canaan. Most of this that's going on, especially when we get down to Canaan, is happening in the southern part of the area that God has given him. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer, and I really have a hard time with Lahai Roi. Now, all of these pronunciations, please do not hold me to them, okay? I'm just doing my best, okay? A little bit of northern New Mexico added into some of the enunciations of some of these words, names, peoples that we're talking about, places that we're talking about. So it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac. Now, the blessing of Abraham is upon Isaac because it's the blessing of God. Okay? And God, right there specifically, it says in that phrase, God blessed his son Isaac. Isaac inherited the riches of his father. But more important than that, the riches that Isaac inherited was the blessing and the promises that God had for him, because the story of redemption is coming from God through many, we've been through the book of Genesis, not just one person, but it went through Abraham. Now it's going through Isaac. And Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi, which means the God who sees. I almost said something different. Good morning, Jody. Good morning. So the God who sees is what Beer, it would be well, and the other two names would be the God who sees, the God who knows. You know me. You see me. Your eyes are upon me. And he's upon all of us. We just don't realize that many times. But when you recognize it and you take it in for what it's supposed to be, as a God who is ever present, a God who wants to be part of your life, it takes on a whole new concept in your life. No more hiding behind the dumpster anymore, because God sees it all anyway. Came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer Lahai Roi. Now, this is the genealogy of Ishmael. So let's look at Ishmael. We've looked at Abraham through Keturah. Now, what has Ishmael been doing? Because didn't he move off to the east also? Not as far as these other ones are going to go. I'm pretty sure that's going to be true. But he also has sons. This is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. These are the names, and here we go again, another list of names. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsham, Mishma, Duma. That's an easier one for me. Isn't there a Duma, Texas? Massa, Hadar, Tima, Jetur, Naphish, something like that, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were the names by their towns and their settlements. So people are spreading out. It's not that they haven't been spreading out. We've been seeing people spreading out since the beginning. Okay? But these people are spreading out and they're taking their territories wherever they go. It's uh, it's a new world out there. The borders, and they don't worry about them. They're just going out and they're finding places, settling in, having sons and daughters. Mixing in with the people that are there. These were the sons of Ishmael. Please don't let me go through that verse again. I don't know how to pronounce half of the. These were their names by their towns, by their settlements, 12 princes according to their nations. So Ishmael has 12 sons. Okay? And that doesn't mean that that's all he had. I'm sure he had some daughters to go along with it. Sorry, girls, I didn't write the book, okay? But 12 princes according to their nations. These guys are going to increase. These guys are going to grow. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. So his father died at 175. Ishmael later passes away at 137. And he breathed his last and was gathered to his people. And I wonder if he was as satisfied as his father was. Yeah, I know. You, Jeff puts on the Facebook comment this morning, the Blue Letter Bible website has all the pronunciations. Yeah. Another way you can get the pronunciations is by on eSword. They have on some, like, let's say if you would go to the ESV version, you see that little dot that is over there. It's not a dot, but you can listen to it also. They'll read the Bible for you as you follow along with Genesis chapter 5 by just pressing that. It doesn't happen in all of the English translations, but that's another way of hearing somebody enunciating a lot of these names that are out over there. And the Blue Letter Bible has it also. Okay. Another way you can do it is you can just Google the Hebrew number. If it's H2512, it'll give you enunciation of that also. Yep. George Sy says that Be'er Lahai Roi, meaning the well of the living one who sees me. Okay, so it came to pass. Back to I think we're further down over here. Verse 17 is where we finished off. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died, and he was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt as you go toward Assyria. Assyria would be to the north, so this has to be east of probably present-day Jordan. We might be talking about Saudi Arabia and places like that. He died in the presence of all his brethren. Okay, so let's look at a map here real quick. Let's see. So we're looking at Havilah and Shur. Let's see if I can pick this place out. Can you see Havilah there? Any place at all? Notice some of these names that you're going to see. Look at Midian, Kedar, places that names that we've looked at already. But probably where that overlay is where a lot of the lands that these people I don't see because Arabia would be over here, Midian, and okay, that's not helping us too much this morning. At least it's not helping me too much this morning. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go toward Assyria. So let's go back to the map and look at east of Egypt. Okay, here's Egypt. All right. Here's Canaan land. Here's Egypt. East of Egypt, okay? And then on toward Assyria, that's where Nineveh is. That's where Syria would be. I think it's correct. Now, verse 19. This is the genealogy of Isaac. So now we're going to be looking at Isaac. Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah as wife. We remember that. We covered a little bit at the beginning of today's program, okay, when Rebekah comes back with the comforter. The daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Okay? He took Rebekah as his wife, and she was the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian and the sister of Laban the Syrian. We had been through that pretty good too also last week. Now, Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren. So once again, we got this thing. Mama Sarah, she was barren. There was a lot of promises coming down the line, but the promises until God did the miraculous in the life of Sarah, there was not going to be an Isaac. Isaac has somewhat of the same issue with Rebekah. But Isaac pleads with the Lord for his wife. He's an intercessor. He's praying for his wife. And men, just don't pray for your wife, pray with your wife. Be sure that you cover, that we have an interesting book that we've been going through on Tuesday's men's group, and that being the priest of the household, you pray with your family, you pray with your wife. Isaac pleaded. He pleaded with the Lord for his wife. Why? Why is he pleading, ladies and gentlemen? Why is he? Because he has a promise. He knows what God wants to do. And you say, well, if God has a promise, watch this. If God has a promise, and Isaac knows what his promise from God is, why does he ask to plead with the Lord? Because God wants to draw him closer to him. All of this is opportunity for Isaac to really seek the Lord and get closer and closer by faith unto God. Not to be distant. Well, I got a promise, and I'll just wait for the whole thing to happen. No, Isaac has history. Isaac knows the history of his father and his mother. And maybe Isaac is saying, God, I don't want to wait till I'm 100 years old. I have a promise. And he goes to pleading. He goes, and all the pleading is, see, trials and tribulations are there to get you closer. In this world, you will have tribulation. The world itself will bring tribulation. And you decide whether you're going to get closer to him or you're going to get further away. Because there's no static position when it comes down to God. Either we're getting closer or we're getting further away. Either we're going to the throne, or we're laying hold upon the throne, and we're drawing close to the throne of grace to find help in a time of need, or we're letting just everything kind of take its own course. But when you have a promise, when you have a word from the Lord, when he knows that there is more that God wants to do through him, he begins that whole pleading with the Lord for his wife because she was barren. Not giving God ultimatums because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Did God want to answer the prayer? You better believe it. God wanted to answer the prayer before the prayer was ever answered. But what does he want? What is God really looking for? God is looking for a man to draw close to him, to trust in him with all of his heart and not to lean upon his own understanding. Isaac makes it a point that he is going to ask and keep on asking, knock and keep on knocking, and what's the other one? Seek and keep on seeking. Sounds to me like it wasn't just one little prayer that he threw up and let the wind take it. There's a consistency. And then what happens when God answers the prayer? When you know that it works, and when you're closer to him and you know him better. God is always trying to draw us closer, always trying to bring us closer and closer to him. But the children struggle together within her. Notice it says children. And I think a lot of us know. Okay, good morning, Flo and Joe. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, if all is well, why am I like this? So she went to inquire of the Lord. So she's pregnant with twins. We all know the story, okay? She's pregnant with twins, and their children are struggling together within her. But they're just a fetus. They're just this blows all of that out of the water, ladies and gentlemen. They're just a bunch of tissue. No. The children are struggling together within her. What a lie people have fallen for. What a lie. Our problem today isn't that there is a God that has made us in our own image. Our problem today is that we're trying to make a God in the image that we want him to be. And we'll do anything that it takes to fall for a lie, to create a lie. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, if all is well, why am I like this? She said, man, there's something going on. I don't know if I'm doing good, Isaac. I don't know if... Take it to God, mija. Take it to God. I don't know, but man, it just doesn't... I didn't expect this to go on, and this is my first time, but man, is this the way it's supposed to be? So she went to inquire of the Lord. She goes to the throne of grace herself. All of this trials and tribulations and uncertainties of life, they can cause us to go closer and closer to him. Are you going through something in your life right now that you don't understand? Are you going through your life something through your life right now that is it drawing you closer or is it drawing you further away? Is it drawing you into faith or is it drawing you into doubt? How many times have we seen people that begin to doubt? And you know why? Because we want it our way. And we want it at our time. And we want it packaged the way that we want it packaged. And this whole thing of living a, cush life, because we're Christians, doesn't always plan to be. There's times and there's seasons. Did Abraham have a cush life? Did Isaac have a cush life? Did Rebecca have? Yeah, they had a lot. They had all that they wanted. But they still had issues in their life that caused them to come close to God and to make the choice. It's a choice that we make. What is it that you're going through is the big question. What is it that's, got you going? Well, I don't believe in God anymore because I prayed and it didn't happen. Okay. Let's stop trying to make a God in our own image. Verse 23, and the Lord Yahweh said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 people shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Remember, we were talking about sometimes it's like we were looking at the sons of Keturah, and you picked out the second one and gave us a little bit more about the second one. The Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. Okay, God answers. She seeks him. Okay. She inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered her. And maybe it wasn't the first time that she went out. Where are you going, Mija? I got to go talk to God. Okay. After about the third or the fourth time, when he sees her grab her Bible and put her shawl over, and he says, oh, I know where she's going. She's going to inquire of the Lord. The Lord speaks to her and tells her why the struggle. He says, there's 2 nations in your womb. Laying out the future, laying out what she can expect out of these sons that she is going to have. 2 nations are in your womb, not just 2 boys. 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. This is big deal. This is like, wow, really? 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Those are things you don't forget. Those are things that you write down on your heart, and you just hold them close to yourself the same way that Mary heard from the angel, and she just held them close to her. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. The first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. They called his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob. Now you know the history. Now you know a little bit the why of what was going on. Her days, when they were fulfilled for her to give birth, there were twins. Is this the first time we see twins in the Bible? I don't remember seeing twins before. Rock of Ages taking us up to the top of the hour. We will check out weather conditions in 3 minutes.
Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Let the water and the blood from thy riverside which flow be of sin the double cure.
morning, Las Vegas. You are listening to KLYN 90.3 FM on Monday morning, the 8th day of December. 28 degrees is our current temperature. It feels like 20 out there with an 8-mile-an-hour breeze blowing out of the north, and humidity is at 50%. We'll have full weather reports for you here at KLYN at the bottom of the hour all day long. Checking out, making sure that you know what you can expect weather-wise, because you just never know when you're going to have to do something, and we can help you right along the way, just like we're trying to help you along with your faith here in Genesis chapter 25, going through it verse by verse. So, when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb. All right, okay, now that answers a lot. The first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. If my wife's listening to me, she'd get a smile on her face right away. Okay? The first came out red like he was a hair, like he was like a hairy garment all over, just not on the top of his head. He was a hairy dude. But they didn't call him Harry. They called his name Esau, which probably means Harry. We'll let Jeff help us out on that one. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. So they're still fighting. What are they fighting for? Do you know what they're fighting for? Here's the big question. Why is the contention? Why is the strife? Oh, thank you, Andreita. Thank you. Why the strife? We're going to find out why. We're going to find out why real quick. But the question has to be there if you're reading this. Well, what's the contention? What's the strife? Why? What did she say a few verses up? Let's see. The children struggle together within her. And she said, if all is well, why am I like this? They were struggling since they were in the womb. They were not just a plop of tissue, you know. The first one comes out red. It was like a hairy garment all over. They called his name Esau. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. Exactly right, Dana. And his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob, supplanter, you know. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. Gives you a little bit of a time, you know. Gives you a little bit of the time stamp on it there. Yep. Esau means hairy. So the boys grew. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field. Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Oh, so Jacob, here's how we speak about it here in northern New Mexico. Who was the consentido? I think it's pretty evident to find out who was what's the English translation of consentido, or a better word in English. Anyway, Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game. Oh, old Esau, the man's man. He was the guy who was the quarterback of the team and led him to the state championship in the basketball tournament. And Jacob brought home good grades. Okay? And he probably wore glasses. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man dwelling in tents. He was in front of the computer all the time. Bad boy, bad boy. Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game. Rebekah loved Jacob. Now, Jacob cooked a stew. And Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. He said to Jacob, please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. So we got another name for Esau, Hairy Red, Red Harry. Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. There's the answer to the question that we threw out to you. Why? Why's the contention? Why's the strife? They're jockeying for position. The firstborn would get the birthright and the blessing. And Jacob, the supplanter, the one who's laying and just barely, almost made it. Jacob said, sell me your birthright as of this day. I tried getting it in the womb, and I was just a little late. I was holding on to your heel and just trying to drag you back, but sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, look, I'm about to die. So what is this birthright to me? Do you think that Esau was that hungry that he was going to die? Or is there other scriptures that tells us that he did not esteem the birthright? He didn't see it as something that was valuable. It was something that was given to him by God, the birthright. Exactly. Yeah. Drama. Huh. Then Jacob said, oh, yeah, he's got his glasses on. Flo, thank you very much. Esau said, look, I'm about to die, so what is this birthright to me? Then Jacob said, swear to me as of this day. So he swore to him, sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils. Then he ate and drank and arose and went to his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. It was his. It belonged to him. But he decided it wasn't worth it. He decided it wasn't for him to have. Let's look at, I got a couple of minutes left. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16 and 17. And it says, lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it diligently with tears. That's something that you can meditate on over the next day or so, today until we get back tomorrow, and we'll look at this. What is it all about when it comes down to the birthright? What's the big deal? I'm going to put a bookmark on Hebrews 12:16 because that's where we will be getting into it tomorrow. But it's tied to Genesis chapter 25, verse 34, right there in front of us. Okay, for one pot, one bowl of stew, he gives up the birthright. And what was the birthright all about? Something else that you can do a little bit of homework here, huh? It was the double blessing. The person that had the birthright, the firstborn, the birthright belonged to him and the blessing. But the birthright is all we're talking about now. We'll deal with the blessing later. But it was all about the double portion. So if there was 10 sons, the oldest would get the double portion, and everybody else would get their single portion to go along with it. So if there was 10, you would divide it up into 11, and the oldest would get 2 portions. Everybody else would get 1 portion. Marco Sweat closing off our teaching program this morning.
Alabaré, alabaré, alabaré a mi Señor. Alabaré, alabaré, alabaré a mi Señor. Juan dio el número de los Señor. Unos oraban, otros cantaban, pero todos alababan al Señor. Alabaré, 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 alabaré a mi Señor. Alabaré, alabaré, alabaré a mi Señor. Alabad, alabad a Jehová. Naciones todas, pueblos todos, alabadle, porque ha engrandecido sobre nosotros su misericordia.